Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Marvel Monday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Once Upon a Time Walgreens, not Walmart, Walgreens exclusive Baron Zemo, or Zemo, however you like to say it. Thank you for watching this video, or any of my other videos that you may have run across, which I hope is all of them. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews, or just help the channel out further, or both, that's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. And with all that said, let's get into it. Let's start our race of villainy against Captain America with a look at the packaging. And here we have on the top a hook. Assortment number 4 and up. Warning! Don't stick things in your pie hole that don't belong there. Legend series. Nice big window showcasing the figure and his accessories. Marvel supervillains Baron Zemo. Or Zemo. I think it's Zemo. Anyway, he's evil. Hasbro print. On the bottom, small print, fine print, legalese print, made in China print, symbols I'm not going to learn, and a barcode. On this side, artwork of Baron Zemo. And on this side, artwork of Baron Zemo. And on the back side, guess what? Artwork of Baron Zemo. Marvel Legends series, Baron Zemo. Born into greatness and great darkness, Helmut Zemo is a man of terrific and terrible genius. The 13th Baron Zemo has sworn everlasting vengeance against his family's nemesis, Captain America. And then there it is in some other language, lots of other languages. Attention, don't stick things in your French pie hole that don't belong there. Don't stick things in any other language that don't belong in your pie hole, because it doesn't belong there. Don't give it to the babies. Marvel print, small print, China print, Hasbro print. That, my friends, is a look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And first of all, accessories, handy dandy tweezers here. And let's take a look at his extra set of hands. They're C-grip. And they have nice little stripes on them. And there's one for left and one for right. And they're both on in and out hinges. And then we have his sword, which isn't new. This is the same sword that they came with the previous release of Baron Zemo, the more modern one. However, this one has a paint app for a leather wrap handle, and the other one was just yellow, or gold as it may be. And it has a nice silver paint here. I do believe it's all molded in this gold plastic. I don't see any of the hallmarks of that swirly twirliness, but it is slightly translucent. But anyway, silver paint here on the handle, and then this is the color it's molded in. But nice sword. It does have a dull, or the blade has been dulled. Actually, that's just where it came out of the mold, I suppose. Or he hit it on Captain America's shield. Who knows? Now let's take a look at the figure himself. And I will say, I was originally gonna skip this Baron Zemo because I had the other Baron Zemo, the more modern looking version, and I thought it was just, you know, they took that one and slapped these this and this on it. But as I got to looking at it closer, you know, it's not, I don't think any of those parts have been reused except for the sword. And some of this is reuse from the Zemo Build-A-Wave, or Build-A-Figure Wave, Red Skull and Dormammu. This part here, resculpted, I believe. Because I know Red Skull's comes way down here, and I think Dormammu's cuff comes way down here too. So, and double jointed pinless there. The belt here molded in this plastic, and it is like, it's on there. It's not, you can't remove it. Well, I guess you could if you pop the figure apart, or if you cut it, which I really don't recommend. But it's molded in this gold plastic, it looks like. These pieces are separate pieces where the pin in the arm plugs through into the torso through these pieces. This hood part is molded into the chest, or at least it's glued on. And the mask and this part here are actually textured with these lines, so that's nice. The gloves are not, they're just painted on. And then, you know, we have these fur tops on the boots, which I do believe are a separate piece, which again, I think the shin pin, the shin pin plugs through this piece into the leg. And I just have to say, it's a very nice looking classic version of Baron Zemo, and I'm glad I decided to go ahead and get this, because when I think of Baron Zemo, this is the look that I think of, like from the 80s Avengers, when he kicked all the Avengers' butts with the Masters of Evil. And you know, I think there's a little bit of paint wash down in these lines. I mean, there's paint down in there, so I'm assuming it's a wash. And then we have a gold paint for his crown or headdress or what. I'm assuming that it's a crown. Then, you know, I think that wash went right on down into the eyes, and then they put the white paint in there as well, and that includes some of this. Looks like there's some paint down in there, but it doesn't look like it all has paint, at least on camera. When I look through it around the camera, I can see the paint and the different colors in there. Again, like I said, this is a separate part, and you know, it's nicely decorated, I think, and it gives that, you know, just that classic Zemo feel. The boots and feet are pretty plain Janes, as well as the legs. I'm not sure where they're reused from, but you can see they are double hinged pinned knees. So pinless elbows, pinned knees. I hate when they mix and match like that, but you know, I mean, the pins don't bother me overly as long as it doesn't affect the articulation. That's, you know, that's something I can overlook, especially when the pins are all, you know, it all color-wise matches. Now, when the pins don't match, that's another story altogether. Let's talk about his articulation. He can look up that high. He can look down that far at his fallen enemies. He doesn't really chicken neck. He's got some waggle in there. He can do the full exorcist. At the shoulder, well, I said it went through. The whole thing doesn't go through. It's just a tab at the top that goes down in there and through. So, okay. You learn something new every day, folks. At the shoulder, the arm raises up about 90 degrees. It does have a full 360 degree swivel or rotation. Cut at the upper bicep for another 360 degree rotation. As I mentioned earlier, double hinge pinless elbow, and it gives you that much bend. At the wrist, 360-degree rotation on an in and out hinge, just like the extra hands. This one, however, 360-degree on an up and down hinge, but it is a trigger finger, and he doesn't come with a gun, but that's okay. That's something that we can, his finger sticking out slightly is something we can overlook, and it can be covered with the sword, depending on the shot you're making. Now, he does have that classic Marvel Legends Hasbro ab crunch. Allows him to bend back that far, forward this far, but it does bend this part of the belt, so just be aware of that. At the waist, there is a cut for a 360-degree rotation, and it does move the belt out of the way some. At the hips, he can give you that much of the splits. Kicks forward at about 90 degrees. And backwards, just that far. Cut here at the upper thigh for a 360-degree rotation. Double hinge pin knees, as I did note earlier. Gives you that much bend. At the upper, or at the mid shin, I guess that would be. There is a boot cut for another 360-degree rotation. At the ankle, tilts down that far. Tilts up that far, and a forward-facing pin for rocker. And as for the sword, my friends, we'll pop it right there in his sword hand, and he can point it directly at you. Or at Captain America after he's kicked his butt. And that, my friends, is a look at the figure and his accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the new classic-styled Baron Helmut Zemo next to Baron Helmut Zemo, the more modern rendition, which is an older Hasbro attempt at the character. And then on the end, the Toy Biz Baron Zemo, which is Helmut's father, Heinrich. And he had some issues with Adhesive X and his mask. I can't remember if Baron Zemo was ever allied with Hydra, but he was definitely Hydra adjacent, at least. So here we have Baron Zemo with the Marvel Legends Red Skull from the Zemo Build-A-Figure wave, and the Hasbro Pulse Troop Builder, at least I believe this is the Troop Builder, Hydra Soldier. Here we have Baron Zemo with AIM's Scientist Supreme and an AIM Trooper, which I believe is the Hasbro Pulse Troop Builder one. I believe the carded release, or the earlier release, had yellow gloves. And of course the Scientist Supreme is from the Supervillains wave, the Zemo Build-A-Figure wave of Marvel Legends. Here we have Baron Zemo with his arch nemesis, the 20th anniversary Captain America, or the Marvel Legends 20th anniversary Captain America. And making his cameo appearance, we have Stan the Man Lee. And how does Baron Zemo stack up with other action figure lines? Let's take a look. Here he is from Star Wars The Black Series Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and from G.I. Joe Classified Series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. And for our final set of comparisons, here we have Baron Zemo with the WWE Ultimate Edition Hulk Hogan, and for a 7-inch scale figure from McFarlane Toys, DC Multiverse, 3 Jokers, the Joker, the Clown. For final thoughts on the formerly exclusive, or Walgreens exclusive, Baron Zemo, I was originally gonna skip this guy because I have the more modern, older Marvel Legends version of Helmet Zemo, and I really thought this guy was gonna be just straight up reuse of that with, you know, the new belt and, you know, the fuzzy pieces added. But the more I looked at it, the more I was like, you know, that's the more classic look. I want that one. So I went ahead and got him, obviously. And I will tell you, I was very pleasantly surprised by the fact that the only things that I can tell that are reused from that older, more modern version of the figure is the sword. The fact that his sword hand has an up and down hinge is fantastic. The figure itself looks fantastic. I mean, they put, you know, the hood and the head sculpt, you know, they put a lot of extra sculpt and paint detail into that to really pull this look off. You know, they could have left the lines blank, but I just don't think it would have had as much impact on this figure. And this is the version, when I think of Baron Zemo, this is the version that I think of, like that. I want to call it the 80s version. You know, he probably wore this version of the costume before the 80s. But, you know, this is how I remember him. And I remember him from the 80s. So, I'm very pleasantly surprised by how much I really like this figure. Seeing that I already had a Zemo, but maybe one of these days they will give us a new version of his dad, Heinrich Zemo, who hasn't had a figure since the Toy Biz Marvel Legends. And, you know, especially if you want to do some like Captain America World War II stuff, you really have to have that version of Zemo. And, you know, the up and down hinge, the paint lines on the glove, the sculpted lines on the head and hood parts with those paint apps on them, and, you know, the fuzzy bits of the shoulders and the top of the boots. It's a fantastic looking figure. Now, I wish they would have picked one or the other for this figure as far as pinless or not pinless. It really doesn't affect the range of motion, but it's just odd to me when they do like pinless elbows and pinned knees or vice versa. And it just, you know, That's just a me issue. And that's really the only thing about this figure that bothers me, is that the knees and the elbows don't match, either being pinned or pinless. So, something to be said for that, I suppose. That's my only nitpick for this figure. Well, that does it for the review, my friends. I hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you so very, very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews, or just help the channel out further, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.